All right, hello everyone. I'm looking at our construct parallel lines GeoGebra activity. And so I want to walk you through the process that it takes to build this. And then eventually the goal is that you will make your own video of walking me through how to do this. So you want to definitely practice, but here we go. Here are the basic steps. Our first thing is I want to make sure we understand we're building a line that will be parallel to line AB, and it's going to pass through point C. So actually, let's grab this. So I want my line to go through point C, and it's going to be parallel. So it's going to be up here somewhere, parallel to line AB. All right, so I could, if I wanted to just guess, I could come up here to my line tool and click on creating a line. And then I could click on, I want to use point C, and then I could create, you can see it will start to build a line, and I could kind of guess it's maybe about right here, but I want to be sure. So I don't want to just guess, I want to be sure. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, but now I'm going to go back to my little arrow, and I'm going to actually delete this. So I'm going to click on this and hit delete, because I don't actually want those things. I'm going to click on this guy and hit delete. Okay, so I'm back to the beginning. I want to, again, create a line that's going to pass through point C that will be parallel to point AB. All right, so I'm going to start by I'm going to add some points to my graph. So I'm going to go up here to the point tool. You can click right here. And then at the bottom, it tells you, well, now I've moved, but it gives you directions on what to do. So at the bottom, I'm going to go to point, and it tells me to select the position or line or function or curve. Basically, pick the spot you want your point to be. Can be anywhere. So for this purpose, I want another point on my line that's going to be a reference for me to build my parallel line. So it doesn't really matter where you put it. I'm just going to pick a spot on the line and tap, and I get a new point. So now, because I need a connection, a reference between the line I have and the line I want to build. So I'm going to go to my line tool, and I'm going to click on line, and I'm going to put in what's called a transversal, meaning a line that's going to pass through my parallel lines. I'm going to click on, so I clicked on D, and then I'm going to click on C because I want it to go through my parallel lines. So this is building me a reference. All right, so now I have that. The next thing is I'm going to start to work on building an angle. We know that parallel lines have the same slope, and so they go at the same angle or the same rate. And we'll talk more about the same slope stuff later, but so we want the angle in reference to D. So this angle D right here, we want this angle, we want to copy it and create it up here at C. So a lot of this is just copying. So to do that, I'm going to grab my point here, and I'm going to put in another reference point so that I can measure some things. Oh, I went crazy there. Go back, and A, there we go, my point, and I want point A. I'm sorry, not point A. I just want to click the point tool. All right, so I'm going to go back, and I'm going to add in a reference point for building my angle. So that reference point, I'm going to build my angle, I'm going to start from the line itself. So I'm going to put a reference, another point on here. It can be anywhere. I'm going to go somewhat close so my circles don't get crazy here. All right, so I have a point at E. And this is going to be a distance that I'm going to measure using my compass tool. So I'm going to come up here to circles. Under circles, I'm going to go down to compass. And then it's going to ask me to select some points for the radius. So what we're doing is we are measuring a distance. This is going to be the distance I measure from D to E. It's going to be the radius of a circle. You can see it popped up with the circle, and the radius from the center to the outside is the distance from D to E. But I want this to be centered at D. So I'm moving my circle over, and I click on D. That tells that's where I want my circle to be centered. Ooh, that worked out nicely with a little highlighter there. Okay, so then we can see the angle right here. The angle, we're going to copy the same angle onto the other spot. The way we're going to do that is using the concept of a circle. Any radius in my circle is equal, meaning the distance from D to E would also be the distance from D to this other point. Let's actually give that other point a name so we can have a name for it. I'm going to put a point there. So the distance from D to E would be the same as D to F because those are both each a radius of the circle. All right, so I'm going to go back to my compass. So the circle up here, the compass tool, and I'm going to basically copy this circle that I already have. I want to remeasure the distance from D to E, and I'm clicking on each one of those. It pops up with the circle, but I'm going to move that up to point C. So I'm going to make my circle be centered at point C. Then you can see that I now have D and C are kind of like matchy-matchy points. They have circles on them. And so I have a point that's going to match up with point F. That's going to be this point right here. So let's add it to our picture. Matchy-matchy. And then now the goal is I need to get that other point over here so I can create my line that's parallel. So the other point in the angle. So I'm going to do that by going back to E and F, and I'm going to actually measure the distance from E to F using my compass tool. So I'm going to create a brand new circle that's a different than before. So brand new circle. I'm going to say I'm measuring my radius from F to E. Notice it pops up with the circle, but I want it centered at F. Although it doesn't matter a whole bunch. And I'm going to copy that, do that same action again. So F to E, and then I'm going to pull the circle, that copied circle, and I'm going to center it at G. So I'm basically, again, building a copied picture. Okay, once I have that, now I'm going to go back to my point, because the whole point of this was to get another point on the other side of the angle so that I could draw my line. So I have D matches with C, F matches with G, and E is going to match with this point right here where the two circles cross, H. And then I now have enough information to put my line in. So I go to my line tool and I'm going to connect from C to H. And there are my parallel lines. Done.